Well, yeah, as always, super exciting things. Maybe some of you saw me like put my hands on my face, like, oh my gosh, what? So, I hope y'all are very excited as well for this release. Before we move on to our next topic, I wanted to welcome our new partners that we've had go live recently. So, big community welcome to Greenville County Library in South Carolina, Haley Public Library in Idaho, and Chesapeake Public Libraries in Virginia. And the links to their Aspen sites are in the agenda document. So I think Cal has posted the link in the chat a couple of times if you're not on the agenda for today. So definitely check them out. Welcome, new partners. All right, I'm going to pass it back to Jordan to go over the Aspen priority planning and review.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Morgan. And this is the fun time where we get to look at, that funny thing when you're on a laptop and you can't see things anymore. We're going to look at everything that we did in the last release and compare, or everything that we talked about we would do in this release, and then compare it to what we were actually able to get done. So we talked about doing improvements for consortium administration. We're going to drip a few things out every month to make things easier. We started this last month, so I'm just going to keep that one at working on it because we're just going to continue a couple of features at a time, but it's definitely a big effort that we want to make things even a little bit easier for large consortia. User interface updates, you got to see what Mark did with those recommended features and how we're making it easy for people to just apply those. We have a few more today, a few more for the next release, and we're going to talk about what some of those are today, or some additional ones today. Every month we have our high priority bugs and our partner priorities, and that's the majority of what you see, what Mark is showing you about making the call numbers display correctly and all of that. Those are the things that all of you put in and rank and work with us on. The updates to Symphony self-reg form, I want to call out again because that was such a cool feature that this is Symphony only right now, but we do have our other ILS specific groups. So if this is something you want to see, if we can do it for your ILS, come to that ILS specific group and talk to us about it. Or if you have something that you think would just be really great that your maybe ILS does that you want to see in Aspen, we do pay attention to that. We do talk to those groups, and this is one that the Symphony group recommended. Our next was a stretch goal, and that was to start the integration with the Palace project and Hoopla Flex. Remember, we wanted to do these two at the same time. It was a stretch goal. We started on it. We started working on the Palace project, and we are actually going to be the first ones using their APIs. So we're really testing with them right now, talking with them about how to do it. I would not expect this to be done next month, but it's something we're committed to working on and testing on with them and getting it right, so it works like all of our other e-content integrations. And finally, the surprise one, we didn't know we would have a little bit of extra LEDA development time, but we did. So we went ahead and put those system messages in since we knew that was such a priority. So now, the fun stuff, what's coming next month. So you're going to still see some of those working on it with the user interface updates, the consortium administration, and again, the e-content that I just said is going to take a couple of releases. The next one has been our top community priority, overarching community, where we sit and talk about what we want done, what's most important to the community. And this one we do expect to get done within the next release. And this is removing the graphic novels from being grouped with the regular books. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then again, we do anticipate having more high priority bugs, partner priorities, the things that all of you are putting tickets in on or requesting. All right. Okay, so for those user interface defaults, updating these, we had something else happen. We're going to get the stars. I know last month I talked to you about the new star styles. We'll work on that too, but I just wanted to make all of you aware of a change that's happening. We've actually had 2 of our e-content vendors update their names. And I know, geez, what was it, like 6 months ago? We talked about, Overdrive had their transition. They were moving to Libby. Did we want to change it? Did we not want to change it? And overall, you said, no, like we don't want to change it. But now they've officially changed and they no longer want Overdrive anywhere. So what we are going to do is update anywhere it says Overdrive, it will now say Libby. But Remember that Aspen has its translation function, so you can make this say whatever you want. If you already have a custom translation, and I know a number of you have Overdrive/Libby, any custom translations will not change. So if you've already updated it, it's gonna keep what it is, and you don't have to worry about this. Actually, I would worry about it. I would start to look at it because Overdrive's gonna go away. Keep that in mind. You might want to update that translation at some point, but we're not changing anything. If you have not changed your defaults, then Overdrive, everywhere it says Overdrive, will then say Libby. So just keep that in mind. And I don't know if everybody saw this other announcement. If you use Access 360, the same will be true for Boundless, or it's moving to the name Boundless. So anywhere it says Access 360, it will now say Boundless. Again, if you don't want this change, fine. That's great. You can go ahead and use Aspen translations to change it to what you want it to be. You can even do that now. You can even do that now, so that if you want to maintain those custom translations. So again, we're going to do this for everyone, and it's something just to make sure that the name of the product is correct. Okay, and on to the bigger community priority, and this is the separation of the graphic novel format. Now, this is something that is not going to be a configuration option. We've talked about it for a number of community meetings, but with the way that indexing works, it's just not really possible. So it's something we've decided to do as a group. And what we are going to do is pull the graphic novel format out of where it's not a graphic novel. So I have the example of The Giver here. The Giver was the original book. The content of the graphic format is different. So we are going to have that be a different search result, if you will. And right now it's grouping together because it does have the same title and author. The graphic format will be grouping with the e-comic. And then if you're wondering, nothing else is really changing in the interface, other than, if this is a little like secret, what I'm going to sneak in if we can, the ability to say also available in graphic format or also available as a book, if we can sneak that in too, but otherwise nothing is going to change. Again, this was the top community priority. If you're curious about how we determine that format right now, I have the details into how that works over there on the right. I'm just going to pause to see if there are any questions before we move on. You all good?
Oh, yep.
Cool. Okay, if you have any questions on anything that we were talking about, especially since things like this that are going to change for everyone, pop them in the chat and either one of my colleagues or answer, or we'll answer them here. And I am now going to turn it over to Tara to give us an update on AspenCon.
AspenCon is coming together, and we have our call for presentations, I think, just almost available. We'll be posting those links in the, actually, I think it's ready as of today. Can we post the link in the chat? Are we ready? I think we are. I've got it handy here. I can post it. Oh yeah, Lauren already posted it. Thank you, Lauren. So yeah, our page is ready. It was put in web builder. Lauren, I believe, put that together, and it looks beautiful. So there we have the call for proposals form available. If you know that you have a topic that you would be interested in presenting on at the AspenCon, and there's also a poll for those of you that maybe don't want to present but are interested in hearing presentations on certain topics. We have that poll ready for you to submit some topics you might be interested in. So we'd love to hear from you and the topics that you might want to hear about, or definitely if you're interested in presenting. And just as a note, I think this was covered last time, but we would like the presenters to be in person. I believe the exception is the lightning sessions. Those are shorter sessions, but for anything longer, we would prefer in-person attendance. I'll just make it easier for us, for everyone planning the conference and all of that. Giving everyone there the chance to network and see your presentations. So yeah, please do fill out the polls and submit your presentations if you're interested, and keep an eye on our new beautiful AspenCon page for more updates.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tara, for those updates. This is really exciting. It's like all coming together. All right. I think we turn it over now to Brian to talk about the Aspen community meeting, the big one, not the littler individual ones.
So the big Aspen community meeting was September the 19th. We talked about whether it would be useful for folks to have direct access to their databases, that is to run SQL queries against them. I think for most Aspen customers, the CSV export and all the GUI tables would probably suffice, but if you wanted more, Bywater offers support for a product called Metabase, and I believe Jordan will be maybe organizing a demo of that product if you're interested in running SQL queries against your database. We discussed how we were making our Aspen instances more kid-friendly. Most of what we talked about was cosmetic, CSS, and logos, that kind of thing. Then we also discussed the continued ins and outs of whether facets and or whether facets or. We brought up the possibility of creating a working group to deal with this issue or discuss it more. And I don't think we came to a conclusion on that, but I think there was a consensus that the documentation could be built out about which facets and which facets or and how that affects searches. And lastly, we discussed who had rolled out community themes to their patron bases, and a lot of us have, but there also was some discussion of consortium members letting specific libraries within consortiums create their own themes. But at the time of the meeting, that was still aspirational, but we had discussed it. And the next community meeting, I believe, is in November. And the exact date is, I don't know. I'll post it in the chat. Thank you.
So I think the next I think it says on the agenda, November 21st at 11 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, and there's a poll there if you're interested in helping us we're going to do that Metabase demo, just like Brian said, in letting us know what you're interested in accessing via the SQL tables. We do have a bunch of community meetings for individual ILS groups, and each of those is listed down there below, as well as one for cataloging and grouped works. Another one of the features that the community has prioritized, the ability to easily see which editions are abridged. That was something that we worked on with that cataloging and grouped works group to help us identify that so we can make that clear in Aspen. So if you have knowledge there or questions or thoughts, that's kind of turned into a really great group to talk about how to make Aspen better. And I'll turn it over to Elise.
All right, well, we will be racking up the frequent flyer miles this month, going to a lot of conferences. As I go through some of these, maybe chime in the chat if you will be at some of these. We would love to see you at some of these conferences. October 13th to 15th, Arkansas CELA. That's going to be a fun one. October 15th to 7th, that was actually 13th to 15th. 15th through 17th, Nate, I believe, is going to be at NELA in beautiful Springfield, Massachusetts. And then we will be at the Arizona conference, October 19th to 20th. Virginia, the 22nd to 24th, and then Illinois, the 24th to 26th. So we would love to see you at one of those if you're going to be there. And that's it for me this month. Thanks so much. Yay, Alex. See you in Springfield.
I see a question in the chat about the communities being active. What I've noticed, because I see in the Zoom links when people are joining that a couple people are joining at the wrong time. So check your time zones. We did have a really great conversation at the last Evergreen meeting, so they are happening. It might just be that you're just checking the wrong time zone. So just double check on that. If we do have to cancel or move one, we announce it here. Yeah, so that's what's going on with those community meetings. Open time.
Wait, that was that discussion.
That just didn't get erased.
Oh, okay. All right. So that brings us into our open time. So are there any questions or comments or open topics of a discussion anyone wants to bring up? Anybody?
We're having a fun audio situation being in the same room. So if we miss it, just repeat it. We're doing the back and forth mute thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure? Okay. Yep. All right. Well, I guess we will call it for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.